Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and today I want to review Elden Ring. So, I've been playing Elden Ring on Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 4 version and backward compatibility with the PlayStation 5, as well as the PC version. So, that's 5 different consoles or 5 different ways that I have actually had the opportunity to play Elden Ring. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know this review is extremely late, and I still have yet to completely finish the game. So, with that said, I do feel more than confident in my... Let's see how long I have on this one. Just on this version alone, I have 30 hours of gameplay. 30 hours of gameplay just on this right here. That is more time on this game than I had while actually... I beat Horizon Forbidden West way faster than that. So that's like 30 hours on this. So I've got about 50 hours combined throughout all those systems. This one here is my main save. This is the one that I've been going on. And I've been going back and forth, between Xbox Series S and X when I play this. So I mean, basically, you can pretty much consider that as, the same experience. But with the PlayStation 4 Pro version, I have about 4 or 5 hours on that. On the PC version is probably the one with the second most time. Well, no, I got a pretty decent amount on the PlayStation 5 too. So. Probably between the PlayStation 5 and the PC, probably a tie on those, about 10 hours, a little over 10 hours each. So I've got some I've got some time in this, and the reason why I'm not farther on this is because of the jumping around through all these other modes. As it sits right now, to date, the best performing of all of them, including the PC, is the PlayStation 4 Pro version, running on backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5. Now, you get a locked 60 frames a second, and I mean, the visuals do take, there's no easy way to say this. They do take a little bit of a hit, but to tell you the truth, it's not as bad as a lot of people would think. So, if you have a PlayStation 5, I do recommend that you play that. Oh, dang. Until you get some... oh, hey, buddy. Oh, where did that feller come from? He just, walked up on me. Oh, another one. Look at this. Oh, it's just the same guy. My gosh. That's insane. I love this game. So, all right. All right, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and walk around and talk about... Well, I'm going to stand right here and talk about this for a minute. Okay, PlayStation 4 Pro version is the most consistent in terms of performance as it sits right now. The very, very next one is going to be the Xbox Series X running with VRR. With VRR, it literally feels perfect. When you turn that off, it still feels good, and this is after patch 1.3. 1.3... I'm recording this right now, and I cannot use VRR support while I am recording with the capture card. So that there automatically leads to... Wow, now there's those over here? Where am I at? Okay, so that automatically leads to me not being able to use VRR, and I'll tell you what, with patch 1.3, that has really enhanced the performance on the Xbox Series X version to the point where... Man, you might not even need it anymore. I mean, even on the Series S, when I'm doing live streaming and stuff like that, I am not noticing as much of a performance hit as it was when it first came out. I'm actually kind of glad I waited till now to do my review anyways, because these patches that have come out have generally fixed it on everything except for the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5, for some reason, still runs a little bit rough. You notice more you notice more frame drops more often on the PlayStation 5 than you do, because I have put the Series X version on the 4K, and played around with that because I really appreciate my Dolby Vision, because you do get Dolby Vision on the Xbox version of this. I do appreciate the Dolby Vision. It does kind of like pull the picture out just a little bit more, in my opinion. It just makes it look a little more, it makes it look a little more full, like all the different colors, everything. It just kind of tends to enhance the image enough to set it above even the PC version. So when we talk about, all right, now let's talk about the PC version. The PC version, I get a locked 60 frames a second on my PC. Like I do at 1440p, even 4K, I get a pretty locked 4K 60 frames as well. On the 4K, if I'm on high settings, I get a locked 60 frames a second. If I go to maximum settings, I get anywhere from like 50 to 50 to 60. It goes in between that, and that's on a 3060 Ti with a 5800X. And that is with, the full, that is with high settings or, or maximum settings. Maximum settings, I do take a little hit when I try to output at 4K, but if I lower the resolution just a little bit, I can usually get that right back up. No problem with maximum settings. In terms of the PlayStation 5, the Series X, and the PC version, I would say that it would go PC, Xbox, and then PlayStation 5 is just right under that in terms of like visual quality. I do kind of feel like the lack of Dolby Vision on the PlayStation 5 version kind of hurts that one a little bit. With the PC version running on a monitor, like the contrast ratio and stuff on the monitor is so good that it still looks really good and still gives it that fuller pixel look, as the Dolby Vision helps with the Xbox Series X version, where the PlayStation 5, in my opinion, is just missing that little extra oomph of just being able to really define the pixel because of the color space that the PlayStation 5 uses. Now, that is not a bad thing. If you have a PlayStation 5, I highly recommend playing the PlayStation 4 version and backward compatibility, because you will get 100% locked performance, and the image quality, the degradation to the image quality is not as high as you would think. I mean, it does, like, you can definitely tell that things are a little more blurry out in the distance, but in terms of just raw like performance and like visual like quality and assets and everything like that, it still looks good enough to where you're like, ooh boy, like when I'm playing the PlayStation 4 version on the PlayStation 5, like I'm so lost in the gameplay that literally the visuals do not matter. They do not matter. The other outlier in the room is the Xbox Series S. Now the Series S, after patch 1.3, that really enhanced the gameplay enough to where if you're playing on a 1440p monitor, the stutters and frame drops are really not as bad as they were when it first came out. Like it is extremely playable. I've done multiple streams now on the Series S version without being able to use VRR, and my gameplay feels pretty consistent. Like that, I guess that's what the best thing is like, yeah, on the PlayStation 4 Pro, you get a solid 60 frames a second. On all the rest of the versions, they're all going to have their little quirks that are going to just have to be within that realm of, hey man, I love this game so much, I don't care. And we're all gamers, man. We all do that. We all get to a point while we're playing a video game to where if we love and like the game enough, we will overlook those little flaws. Will we all prefer a nice 4K 60 frames a second locked gameplay on this? Of course we would. Of course we would. Is that enough to ruin this experience? No, I don't. It's completely easy for me to overlook. I will tell you that the PlayStation 5 version is literally my least favorite one to play on. and then the second least favorite would be the PC version because of the freaking micro stutters that still are in this game on the PC to this day. It's weird. I would liken that to the PlayStation 5 version. That's how the PlayStation 5 version feels to me while I'm playing it. Like every once in like I'll get these like weird stutters in the PlayStation 5 that you can feel in the controller. And that's the same on the PC. Like you don't necessarily feel it on the controller on the PC because it is 60 frames a second, even though you're hitting those stutters. It gives you that like, oh man, like you notice it, and it's so noticeable that it's not even funny. I'm glad that PlayStation 5 is finally going to get VRR support because that is greatly going to enhance this experience for you on the PlayStation 5. And it's going to be a lot better. The thing with the Xbox, you remember when Xbox was coming out, they were talking about having auto latency, like latency, like something that was gonna help with latency in the controller and the input and everything. This game feels really good. This is the first game that I've really noticed that works. Because even if you're in a frame drop or something on the Series S, like you're still feeling it still feels pretty good. Like it feels just as good to run around and play around. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna like walk around and we're gonna explore some of this for a second. I just want to see. I'm at an undisclosed location that is not at the start of the game, but it is. It is kind of. No, it's not really that close to it. But all right, so when you look out in the vistas in this game, like you look around and you're like, oh man, like this. Like, yeah, you could look around and it's like, oh man, this feels a little bit small or whatever. This game right here, we're down here in this bottom part of the map. Right here, up here in this map right here is where you first start. You know, you've got over here, you've got the first step. You first come out of the cave right here. And then you'll go up here, you'll trek up this way, and you get up here to your first boss or whatever. Well, this is my exploration, man. Like oh man, like this game here is throwing so many curveballs, surprises at me. It's not even funny. Like this game is pretty freaking big. And once you get out there and you start seeing more things, like the world starts to open up so much more to you. And it truly is amazing just how wonderful this game is growing on me for sure. So my all-time favorite game is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I love that game. I spent so much time exploring that castle and finding my way through and finding all the secrets. And back then, there was no freaking internet. You couldn't jump on there and watch a YouTube video on how to get through or how to unlock the next area or any of that. Like you had to find these things on your own. And back then, I think we barely had internet and stuff. Like the internet was so young that like it took forever to like download a freaking picture. It would be like you'd watch each line download. So by the time, well, maybe the internet was a little bit faster by the time that got out. But like some of us didn't even have, like a lot of people didn't have, like you would have to go somewhere to like your rich friend's house or something and get on there and try to find secrets or something like that if you were going to do that. But the moral of the story is I didn't do any of that. I literally sat there and played through that game and experienced that by myself for the first time, just going through that whole game and like finding these secrets and completing the whole castle and and getting, finding all the secrets in the map. And I spent so much time in it. It was just so good. And I love doing that. And I played that game for well over like a year, almost a couple of years. I was still playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night and just really enjoying that experience. It was so fun. Elden Ring is the first game since then to give me that exact feeling, but in a 3D thing. And if you think I'm joking, here's my whip. I am 100% in love with this game. Like, this is probably going to unseat Castlevania Symphony of the Night as my number one game. Yes, boss encounters are challenging. Yes, it's going to take you a while to figure this stuff out. you can play this game and just run around and explore and find things out there to make you stronger. I went up against this this Black Knight. He was on a horse. I don't remember his name or whatever, but my gosh, man, like I got to him and like this there's a knight in the very beginning of this game. It's a gold knight. He's on a horse. He is right over in this area. Let me go to the first area. Let me show you that, because I don't feel like that's as much spoiler as anything else. Right here, what I'm showing you can get to this place pretty easy. It's pretty, I mean, like I didn't have to fight anything on the way there. I just jumped on my horse and rode right over there when I first started. So when you first start, you'll come out here and you'll look across this valley and there'll be this gold knight. Okay, that guy was hard, man. He took me a while to freaking figure out how to beat him. And so when I pulled up on this Black Knight in the middle of a live stream, I was like, oh my gosh, man, I'm going to get made fun of when this guy beats me up. Well, no, man, I'm strong enough now. This hammer, I stood my ground and I whooped him. I beat him right then and there, and I was like, nice, man. That makes me feel better about this stream. You know, I'm in the middle of this stream. I just whooped this dude. Wait, why am I glowing all of a sudden? Interesting. Well, that's pretty nice. I mean, you'll see these NPCs and stuff, but yeah, man, when I beat this guy over here, I was running around on my horse. You know, I just had an axe or whatever. I took him out finally. I was trying to fight him on the ground, but then when I finally got on the horse and I just kind of, you know, was riding out and fighting him and stuff, that guy was pretty cake work. I beat this dragon. See, I beat him on the Series X. Over here, the dragon, I beat the dragon on the Xbox Series S just the other day, actually. I was like, oh man, you know what? I still haven't beat that dragon up. So I went back there and I beat him up. That was a pretty fun encounter. But the thing is, and that's what I'm getting at, is the thing is you will gain enough strength just by running around and exploring and leveling up your character to where you will be able to start taking on these bosses, and you'll be able to stand your ground pretty easy with enough exploration. And that's the way I look at it. And I mean, like, look at this right now, like these little leaves, and look how beautiful this is. Like, just being in this game world, it's so dynamic and it changes so much that it's like, wow, man, this is literally great. That castle up there was fun to explore. I've explored castles down in the bottom, you know, and I've done a pretty decent amount of live streaming while I've been playing this game, and my gosh, like, I do really think that by the time I complete this game, this will probably 100% take over that top spot for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and this is exactly the game that I've been waiting for. Now, this game does not hold your hand. It doesn't. You have to figure this out, and that's the best part of it. That's the whole allure to this game, like exploring it. This is what I call an action-adventure RPG. A literal action-adventure RPG. Like, you will go and find stuff. Like this hammer that I got, I beat a boss and I got this hammer, and now I'm running around with this, and like, gosh, I love this thing. It's freaking great. I appreciate the fun that gives me. Now, each of these versions do have a performance or a quality mode. Now, if you turn on quality mode, the frame rate does start tanking. It is unlocked, but my gosh, man, like the visuals, they are cranked all the way up to a native 4K, and they do look sharp, crisp, and good. Now, this game here is not going to be winning any of the, oh my gosh, that's the best looking game of the year award. That's for sure. No, this game right here looks good enough to get you by. It looks good enough to pass for a solid experience that looks good. It does exactly what it needs to do in the visual department. So, like, when you're out here in the open world, yeah, there's some places that look amazing. And then there's some places that are like, oh boy, that looks pretty whatever. But once you get into like interiors of these buildings and stuff, the game does start to take on more of a detailed look, which is really nice. I've seen some really nice looking interior in this game throughout my playthrough already, and it just makes me want to continue to explore more and have more of an experience. Now, I don't want to spoil a whole bunch. I don't want to take you over here to this area right here, because this here is a little bit, this Khalid or whatever, Khalid. And then there's up here, this is like a swamp area and stuff. Like, you can walk in this water. It's pretty freaking cool. There's these really beautiful mountainside cliffs up here and stuff that you're going to want to see. Man, exploring this game is easy, is fun, is everything that you hoped it would be. You get over into certain areas and you're like, wow, man, I did not even realize this game was going to be this big and this beautiful. Like, when you're sitting right here where we're at right now and you're looking out along this thing, you're like, oh man, look, there's the aqueduct over there. It's probably going to be a pretty small game. You see out that way and you're looking and you're like, oh boy, I don't know about this. But then once you get just a little bit farther over into another side, you will you'll start to really see like things take shape. Like, you get up here and you look out, and I mean, it does kind of keep you to the imagination to where it's like, oh boy, like you keep going in one direction and you start finding more and more things. Now, I know I'm showing you a lot of things that aren't really, that really don't matter in this game. Like, I get that. I don't want to spoil this during like a review. I want you to be able to experience this game and see all these things on your own. I know there's some things that I have talked about that you could kind of look at that as maybe a spoiler, like the knight over here on the horse and like the black knight and everything else. Some of the other stuff that I talked about, like the boss that I got this hammer from, talking about the dragon. Most of this is seriously like really early stuff that you're gonna see within the first half hour, 45 minutes of playing. Every boss encounter that I have encountered so far, I have been able to go around if I wanted to. These are like bosses right in the middle of the world. And you can have friends that are stronger come in and help you. If you're struggling with bosses in this game, you can have people come in and help you. I have tested that out while I've been playing. I actually had somebody from our community come in and, we played through that first boss up there. There's a boss that you'll get to be your first like, you're not gonna push this dude over too easy. And then, like the first main boss, I did have him come in and we played through that. So, I mean, as far as the multiplayer aspect of this game works, that's pretty cool. I have had people invade my game already. I've won some and then I've smashed some. It's fun. Like, this game here gives, it really does pay to take your time to play this game. Like I said, with like those other consoles and stuff, anywhere you play this, I'm happy to say that any way you choose to play this, you're still going to be able to get an experience that is worthy of your time. Including on Xbox Series S, PlayStation 4. See, I haven't tested base consoles, so I don't know what kind of experience you can expect on that. This is basically for next gen and PC. I mean, I do have access to an Xbox One S, but if you're playing this on Xbox One S or PlayStation 4, you're literally going to be stuck at like a 30 frames per second, and it's going to be shaky at that. If you go back and you look at PlayStation 4 on how it played Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, or you look at Xbox One, how it played, those games like Sekiro or anything like that, you're going to kind of understand that you really are going to need a next-gen console to really get some sort of enjoyment out of this game. And I do believe when I say that the Xbox Series S version is just as capable of giving you a next-gen experience as any of the other consoles, albeit with a little less unstable frame rate that actually feels like it's hovering right around about 50 frames a second now while you're out there playing around with some dips. Like, you will notice some dips for sure, but it's still a lot more playable than what you're going to get on a last gen base console. I think your next best bet might be Xbox One X, but or even PlayStation 4 Pro, but even at that, you're still going to get a pretty... I mean, okay, so I played Sekiro Shadows Die twice on Xbox One X, and my experience with that wasn't bad. I mean, it was doable, but this definitely feels a lot better on next-gen consoles than that felt when I was playing that. So, as it sits right now, Elden Ring is probably, hands down, gonna be my game of the year. The only other thing that possibly, there's only 2 other games that possibly could maybe change my mind on that, and we got God of War and Starfield at the end of the year. When it comes to action adventure open world games, those are the only other 2 that I think are going to compete, and that's out of the games that are already out too, like Horizon Forbidden West. Yeah, I have no desire to even go around and really play that world. I'm more interested in playing this than anything I've played before this came out, for sure. I mean, I can't even focus on any of the other recent games that just came out because this one here has more of my attention and more of what I just want to do. So, I want to give Elden Ring a solid 10. I do. I do. Like, I have no problem handing this game a solid 10 right now. Like, right now. The only thing that I can really complain about is performance on these consoles and stuff not being a locked 60 frames a second, and the PC port not having that stuttering issue. So any way you play this right now, it's a compromised experience, except for the PlayStation 5 playing the PlayStation 4 Pro version. And because that version is so perfect, it is the way that this game should be explored or played, you know, with that. You should have that consistency all the way through. I want to give this game a 10. I do. I think this is probably one of the best games I've played in a very long time. Like, seriously, very long time. After Witcher 2 is probably my second favorite game. I really love that game. I know that this game here is definitely up there for me in terms of just being able to really like that. So, I am going to give this game a 10, and now I'm going to tell you why. So, with Elden Ring is definitely a game born from the Soulsborne games. It is, in every step of the way. There are bosses in here that are going to freaking really test your patience and make you mad. It's going to make you angry. This game might not be for some people, but I do believe that this is the best entry point into this genre. In this genre, my first game with this was Bloodborne on the PlayStation 4, and I'll tell you what, I got to that second boss and it made me so mad that I just got rid of it. And then I ended up playing it again like a year later, and I ended up beating it and really was like, wow, I really like these games. So I've started buying all of them, even from other companies that aren't FromSoft. I've bought these other games and I've played them. Have I beat all of them? No, I haven't beat all of them, but I will go back I do go back and I do play them. This one here, I am more set on getting through this and experiencing this whole game. That I'm like, wow, yeah. And the fact that you can, at the drop of a dime, you can bring a friend in to help you and they can explore the open world with you and stuff in certain areas. The bosses, you can go around most of these bosses, you can explore, find things, and like you can literally go, like, so right here, this early area, you can literally jump on your horse, ride all the way out here to this harder area, and if you can fight like some of the things out here and win, man, you get more experience points. You can go out here and farm this stuff and try to get as much experience as you want, or you can come over here to this even a little bit harder area and you can farm over here and you can get stuff, and then you can come back and you can, this right here to me feels like the opening area, because I feel a little bit overpowered for this now. You can come down here and you can just start building up your character. Fighting the bosses down there weren't too hard. You can start building your character up. And then after you are at a strong enough point, then you can come back over here to this dude right here. After you've done all that, then you can come back here and then you can pick a fight with this guy. And you might be able to beat him pretty quickly. That's the difference between Elden Ring and something like Sekiro or Bloodborne or any of the other ones. That's why I believe that this game deserves a 10. And I believe that this is the best game for you to jump in and start your Souls experience. After you've learned everything you can in this game, then you're going to have more of an appetite for being able to look at the challenging nature of these games. And the biggest thing is the challenging part of it is learning your enemy's attack patterns, scaling your character right, learning about how to build your character. The strength build, honestly, is the easiest to go with, and probably you'll be able to tank hits and deal heavy damage. That's the way I've been running them. I haven't ventured out and tried to learn any of the other stuff yet, because I'm still fairly new to like the Souls games as well. Well, actually, that's kind of a lie. I'm not new anymore. Like I've played multiple of these games, and I've experienced these games, and it's these games right here that I really love, and that really freaking give me like a sense of like, wow, accomplishment. Like, you could play a lot of games like Horizon Forbidden West. I played through that game, and while it was great, like, I don't remember a lot of it. Like, I don't even, like, it was just, it went by and it was like, oh, that was great, whatever, let's move on. It was a one and done game. Where this right here, you can build your character multiple different ways and come back and redo all this stuff on New Game Plus and all of that stuff, and keep continuing to enjoy that challenge. That challenge, honestly, once you beat one of these games, like, that challenge is instilled in you and you're like, ooh boy, I want more. I want more. I want to go back and I want to play and I want to play. And yeah, they kind of grow on you. And this one right here is this is such a good one to start out with. So, yeah, this game to me is a solid 10. I love this game. I think it's great. I think that you would like it. If you pick this up and you start enjoying this game, you will learn so much about yourself that you never even thought possible. There's a pretty solid community out there that will help you. There are some guys that will help you. And there are some guys that are going to be mean about these games. They need to... I personally believe that we need to figure out a way to encourage people to play these games and to want to play them, instead of the just get good. Because, yeah. I mean, obviously you're going to have to learn how to play the game and get better at it. Like, obviously. But is it really to a point like where somebody, like, you're seeing somebody struggle with the game? Like, why be rude to them about it? I don't understand that. Just be like, yeah, man, like, encourage them. Like, come on, man, you got this. You can figure it out. You will be able to overcome this. Because I'll tell you what, man, Bloodborne took me a long freaking time to beat that game. It was pretty hard. And then right after that, Dark Souls 3 was already out. So I was like, ooh, cool. So I picked that up and I played through that one, and that one was enjoyable, and I was starting to get the point of it, and I beat that one as well. Sekiro was definitely a lot harder than those two games. I still haven't beat Sekiro, but I'm pretty close to beating that game as well too. But my gosh, man, it's just, they grow on you, and you need to find a way to figure out how to get your rhythm. And for me, seriously, like a game like Sekiro or something, like, I had to literally put myself in a mood to be able to play that game, because you're going to die a lot. And so you're going to have that determination to be like, oh yeah, I want to keep playing. I want to keep playing until I get this. I want to keep playing until I get this. And sometimes, if I don't have that determination, then I'll die a couple times, and I'll be like, whatever, I'll come back later to do it, And so when I'm like in a determined mood to come and sit down and actually play these, oh man, like I'll play them for hours on end, and like, it's really great, and it gives you the most fulfilling experience that you could get in gaming. And especially if you're from my age group, man, growing up in my age group, like, we had pretty hard freaking games back then. Like, you would have a certain amount of lives, so maybe a continue or two, and then once you got to a certain point, if you died, you had to start the whole freaking game over again anyway. So I mean, they were like essentially roguelite type games, that now we've got these games that you get a checkpoint every freaking 30 steps. And they're just not challenging us anymore. And then everybody's complaining about games these days, like, oh man, these games are one and done and they're not that great and blah blah blah. And it's like, it's because they're catering to so many people that you have to branch out. You have to find an experience like Elden Ring, and then you have to learn how to play. Yeah, you do. You kind of have to forget all the stuff you've been playing for the last 25, 30 years and relearn how to play games that are going to challenge you, that are going to give you a feeling of accomplishment. Like you're not going to get that on a game like Horizon Forbidden West, man. Playing Horizon Forbidden West, you can crank down the difficulty all the way down to where it's so easy you can just literally walk through that game. And that's the same with something like The Last of Us 2. You can literally make these games so easy now that it's like, yeah, you can get your story or whatever, but do you really want to go keep spending $70, $60, $70 a game just to get a story? And isn't it cheaper to just read a book? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love video games. I'm not saying that you should just start reading books, but I'm saying, are games getting so easy that we don't appreciate because I find myself all the time like thinking, oh man, I just need another game to play. Oh man, what's new? And I give myself so much video game anxiety that, like, gosh, like some of these games I just get through so quickly that I'm just like, wow, man. I mean, I like the game. It was pretty cool. I like the way it looks. I mean, okay, do I want to play more of it? And that's just where I'm at these days. But then you get a masterpiece like this that, like, you know that this game could kick your butt like really easy, or you could, yeah. Like, this game will have moments that can kick your butt, man, but gosh dang it. It's just that sense of an action adventure that's like, ooh boy, man, ooh boy. And it gets you going, and you're like, okay, I just want to try to get a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And then pretty soon you're running down a hallway of a new castle and you're just smashing everything in one hit, and you're like, oh gosh, and you get to the boss and you two-shot him and you're like, okay, great. That was awesome. I feel powerful. And then the very next boss smacks you in one shot and kills you dead. And then you got to figure out, like, oh my gosh, now how do I beat this guy? Those moments in this game are so freaking good. Everything I've experienced so far, like, I love this. I don't have anything negative to say except for anything about the performance. As soon as they get that fixed, hopefully they get that fixed, because this game right here literally is a masterpiece. I mean, and I do have the availability to play this game with a locked 60 or whatever. So I did pick this up on PlayStation and Xbox, and then somebody in the community sent me the PC code. So that was really cool. Thank you, Onyx. You're awesome. So I was able to cover this on everything, and man, I love this game. Like, I don't have anything bad to say about it. And I do believe that if you are new to these games and you watch this review, don't be afraid to hit up our community for answers. Don't be afraid. Like, leave a question. If you have a question, go ahead and ask me. I'll try to respond to you. If it's a good question, I'll drop a link to Discord, when you ask that question, so you can get into our Discord and like hang out with our community and stuff, because we are trying to build a solid community at Frogboy X1 Gaming, so that because we're gamers, man. That's what we do. We're gamers. We're not fanboys. We're gamers. A lot of us love Xbox. A lot of us love PlayStation. A lot of people in this community have both. Every now and then we do get those random fanboys that, are like, oh, Xbox or PlayStation better. We do, whatever. And so, yeah, I think we got a pretty solid community that we've built. So if you have any problems with this game, don't be afraid to hit us up, man. If you're new to the series, a lot of people bought this game. If you're new to the series, don't be afraid to hit us up, man. We will definitely try to answer questions, and some of us will even jump in your game with you, and more than happy to help you get through certain parts that you're struggling with. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is our review for Elden Ring. I definitely love this game. It's a solid 10. Don't hesitate to pick this one up, man. This is definitely a game of the freaking decade. I don't know if we're going to get anything this good other than maybe Starfield. I got some high hopes for Starfield, but this is solid. Don't sleep on this one. This is definitely worth full price. So I'll see you in the next one.